welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow Masterclass, a series of digital-first conversations that we do here, bringing you the most topical issues and giving you, the entrepreneur, the chance to participate, asking your questions directly to a panel of experts. I'm Sunanda Jayasseelan. We're continuing to focus on the ripple effects of the Russia-Ukraine crisis on domestic industries. Today, we bring you highlights from Masterclass that we did, speaking about the impact on the Agritech as well as the hospitality space. What's going to happen to food prices here in India because of all the changes that we're seeing as far as oil is concerned, inflation, etc. All of that being answered by our experts tonight. Let me introduce them. Nikunj Gupta, CFO Chai Point, Tauseef Khan, CEO and co-founder Gramophone, Zain Khwaja, Executive Director of US Pizza, Jasper Reed, Founder IMM, CEO Jamie Oliver Restaurants, and Wendy's. Jasper, in fact, this is echoing what you and I were discussing offline, that this is now a great opportunity for businesses in India to perhaps look at replacing some of the businesses that have been, the Western brands that have decided to exit or got displaced in Eastern Europe, particularly Russia and Ukraine. Would you like to expand on that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, up front, I have to say that's not a game we're going to get into. And this was, it's a valid topic, isn't it? Because any number of foreign brands that went into Russia have either exited or are suspending or somewhere in between. And I was talking to an entrepreneur out of Moscow the other day. And by the way, I should say up front here, wars are terrible things, right? And I don't comment on the politics, but our heart goes out to all those people in Ukraine, right? But before we forget about all of that, but this entrepreneur, he was saying to me, look, there's McDonald's shipping out, there's Starbucks, there's 100 people. So I guess conceptually, there's an opportunity for Indian players. I mean, in India, I've been here for a long time. We've always accused ourselves of not being very good at creating brands, right? And then somehow we have to go and get them from the Americans or the British. I think a lot of that's changed. I mean, take Chai Point, that's a world-class brand. I mean, I might put this question a bit over to Nikunj with your permission, Sunanda, but yeah, there have to be opportunities there. Whether you're brave enough,
sure.
That's another matter.
Do you want to respond to that, Nikunj?
I mean, I'll respond by saying, there are a world of opportunities. The Indian diaspora and its vast presence across the Middle East, UK, North America, Southeast Asia. That entire Indian diaspora is an opportunity for us, the chai drinkers, if you will. So, so we look at that as an opportunity.
Sure. This next question coming to us from Sharad Bhargava. He says he's with Bharat Rural Livelihoods Foundation. The views of the panel for need of more and faster agri reforms to increase productivity, market linkages, value addition. Otherwise, the agri sector distress may get worse. He's CFO at Bharat Rural Livelihoods Foundation.
I think, this is definitely like need to increase the per capital income plus per acre income, I would call it. But I think over a last few years, there are a lot of things that are happening over there. I think the way we have been working from it's a massive problem, right? And it's a massive sector with almost 55 to 60% population dependent on it in one way or the other. But eventually, I think a lot of integration of things is happening. If I take an example, that earlier there were no farm management services available for farmer, no scientific. I would not say no, but there are better ways of doing things through technology, and access of that has already happened right now with
Sure.
smartphone penetration. So these
Sure.
are things in this decade. We are also seeing huge investments in the agri tech or new age companies, and the older companies are also adopting newer methodologies of doing things.
Sure.
So now I think the pace at which per area like productivity is increasing right now, that
Sure.
is much more than what it was earlier.
Okay.
Secondly, I think for value addition, I believe closer to the farming community, until unless there is more value addition over there, uh, then only I think the farmers will be able to reap in supply chain like benefits.
This next question is coming in for Zain from Ashish Agarwal. He says he's a sales market lead. What kind of automation do you have in mind? Is it business process improvement or something else?
I specifically was actually referring to pizza, the product itself, because this is something that's been on the horizon for many years. And I think there was one very famous company that got investment from SoftBank. An American guy showed up outside the SoftBank owner's house with a truck that in the back had a robotic pizza maker. And I think he walked away with a couple of $100 billion of funding. And I'm pretty sure the company was shuttered like a year later. So we're not there yet. It's still not feasible, but we're going to get there. I wasn't talking about business processes, but Ashish, you're right. It's going to be across the board, automation. And where we find our involvement in it is going to be how the market restructures. And we'll find our way through it.
Okay. Let me take another question. And this one is coming to us from Vijay. He says he's Chief Growth Officer at Day One Technologies. And this is a question really for all four of you on today's masterclass. What's your de-risking strategy? Given the geopolitical uncertainty might be the next normal, and competition is just going to get far more. It's going to get far worse going forward. So just taking the first part of Vijay's question, what's your de-risking strategy? 2 years ago, and we're still seeing the lingering effect of the pandemic. So 2 years ago, it was the pandemic. Right now, it is, of course, what's happening across the geopolitical spectrum. Tomorrow, it could be something else. Your advice, gentlemen, if you can call it out for our small businesses based on how you are running your own businesses when it comes to having some sort of a foolproof business plan and a de-risking strategy. The top 2 or 3 things that you would like to advise our entrepreneurs. Maybe let me come to you first, Jasper.
Vijay, another great question. I wish I had a foolproof de-risking strategy. Maybe one of the other panelists does. Again, I go back to some basic stuff. I mean, if you're in the food game in India, which is a relatively low volume market, it's an extremely hard game, right? And I think all of us are used to, anyone that wins in this market is used to huge attention to detail. We build our sales check by check here. We look at all our cost items. I think you just have to kind of keep doing that and do more of it. If you're making a profit in India, pretty lean anyway, right? I don't know how much fat you have left to cut. And after that, I slightly take the defense that I am at least a humble restaurateur. And, geopolitics, I don't know. I mean, keep your fingers crossed is my backup strategy.
Okay. By way of de-risking, what is your advice for small businesses doing business in India today? Nikunj, maybe you could take that on next.
Yeah, I think I'll echo what Jasper said. I think we live in a volatile world. This is not the first crisis. I mean, we've been in a constant state of volatility pretty much from the 2008 financial crisis. It's been one thing after the other. So I think at least the way we run our business is do the fundamentals right.
Okay.
Build a business that is on sound unit economics, because the most fundamental de-risking strategy is to not, create a business model, economic model that rests on hope that something will happen and profitability will appear. So be real, be clear on what are the building blocks of where you make money, where you spend money, keep a close watch on it, keep adequate margins to the extent that is possible. But do not just chase growth for the sake of chasing growth and then hope that profits will appear. That's a sure shot way to succumb to any of these sweeping geopolitical changes that take place. Beyond that, you have to respond to each crisis as and when it emerges.
Any personal examples from the way you've been running Gramophone, Tausif, that you can give our entrepreneurs?
See, I think for SMEs and business, what Nikunj and Jasper have already added most of the things. But I think investing in tech, like in agri, investing in tech and imagining that the farmer would use it. A lot of questions I used to get in 2016 when we started. Is there even a need of it? Will the farmer use it? The smartphone. Today, I think when the pandemic hit, a lot of things were being done over a call center for us. And then when there were shifts of call centers to probably from a metro to a tier 2 city, we shifted to a village. So now a person sitting in a village, he is able to take calls. So we de-risk, and now that has become a normal business for us today.
Sure.
Saved costs over there. So these are things which you invest over a longer period of time, and that investment has to keep on happening incrementally. You can't suddenly basically think of something and overnight change larger things. Otherwise, I think the rest of the things I would probably resonate with what Nikunj was saying around unit economics, around growth versus economics. So right now is the time to focus more on economics, which basically keeps you your business more sustainable, and that's what we have been trying to basically do over the last 12 months period of time.
I'll slip into a short break on that note. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow Masterclass. The second poll question that's coming up on your screen for all of you who've logged in: have Indian businesses learned from the pandemic and learned lessons from the pandemic and become truly self-sufficient? Yes or no? That question is on your screen as we speak. Let me, in the interest of time, quickly take one more audience question. In Zain, perhaps you could respond to my previous question as well as to this one that's coming in from Sahadevan. He says he's Chief Information Officer with Green Act Innovations. He says this is a question to all our panelists. What is the major change in hiring or attrition for your business? And what changes do you perceive will take place in the next 12 months? If you can call this out as a trend, gentlemen, first to you, Zain.
Honestly, as a restaurateur that's been around for a while, I find that we are kind of boxed into a business model, and that would include de-risking or hiring practices. What I will say is that we've managed to adjust, adapt, and roll with the punches throughout. And yeah, we'll continue doing so.
I just very quickly also want to take the results of the poll. The second poll: have India's small businesses learned their lessons from the pandemic? The results have come in. 73% of you saying yes, 27% saying no. That's definitely good news then. We have time for one last question before I take in closing comments. And this question is coming to us for Nikunj. Nikunj, on a lighter note, we're talking about increasing cost for the hospitality industry, but with rising cylinder costs, milk going up, etc. What do you offer your guests who come home instead of chai? What should I be looking at?
No, I mean, we deliver chai home as well. I mean, we are an
But your prices are going up as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we are the largest brand that delivers chai at home. So, my recommendation would be get on to Swiggy, Zomato, or our own Chai Point app and just order a chai home and just give your full attention to the guest instead of being in the kitchen.
Full marks on that answer, Nikunj. Let me start taking in closing comments. Jasper, I would love to come to you first. For a small business that is that has logged in, and I have been posting questions, of course, on today's masterclass. Looking ahead into the next 12, 24 months, the next 3-4 years, what is the one thing that you would like to advise them to say? This is perhaps what has worked for you in your entrepreneurial and your professional journey, and that's the advice you want to leave them with.
Well, first of all, if you're still here after COVID, congratulations, well done. Good job. Honestly, I think keep doing whatever it is that delights your customers, right? And the one thing I would say for any entrepreneurs trying to get into food, it is not a quick fix game. It is not an easy game. It is a game of endurance, patience, and love.
The model may be called QSR, but there is nothing quick about being in the restaurant business, I would assume, Jasper.
No, the service might be quick. The profits take more time.
All right. Zain, how about you?
Thank you, Sunanda. I would say that as a small business, if you're looking at food, just like Jasper says, passion for your product is probably the most important thing you can have. Followed by pay very close attention to who your customers are, what they're asking for, and be good to your vendors. That's it. Thank you.
Sure. Tausif?
I think there are 3 things which we have done well over the last few years. Nothing comes overnight. You have to be patient. Then you have to set up very aggressive goals around and plan to basically achieve that. And third, I think if you're trying to disrupt a sector which is very traditional, then not force fitting things. Like if I say that I will solve everything by over an application, probably that might not work. So we have basically worked around the consumer, how I can reach to him. We've used call center based approach. We've used app based approach. We've used feet on a street. And our movement is more towards how do I improve my economics over a period of time. And that has happened. So therefore, we have reached over. So these are the 3 consistent things that you have to keep on doing. And ultimately, I think profits and sustainability would come. We have started seeing that in our business as well now.
Sure. Nikunj, I'll give you the last word.
I think I'll borrow what Zain said right at the start, right? Be clear, figure out what your niche is, be completely true to that, invest in quality, invest in service, but also be real in terms of what's your pricing, what's your margin, and then play the long game. I mean, it's bound to succeed.
Out of time on tonight's episode. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details are up on your screens. Also, just do keep in mind that we're continuing to do these masterclasses live. If you want to know what we're doing next, and if you'd like to register for our masterclasses, just head over to our website and all of our details are there. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.